Rockets have hit a rough stretch of road. 15 straight losses, too shy of the longest in franchise history. Celtics have lost 7 straight road games, so as the Beastie Boys once said, something's got to give. That's Robert Williams with a putback of the Jason Tatum missed. Tatum doesn't miss this one, hits the 3, and the Celtics will tie things up here on the Tatum drive and wouldn't trail for the remainder of the game. Jaylen Brown head fakes and gets a couple of Rockets off the floor. Head fakes are very effective. Celtics now lead by 9, and it lead's growing. Brown drives and gets the lay-in. They dominate the second. 24 for Brown in the game. They go on a 34-8 run and 9:21 to just blow things open, and they lead at the break by 13. Tatum now, defense turns to offense. The man glides. It's all apparently effortless. Celtics and Tatum late at the end of the third. That kind of night for the C's. Tatum goes for 23. Celtics hand the Rockets their 16th straight loss. This one, 134-107. Clips Phyllis visiting the Pelicans. LA's won the last 4 between these teams. Kawhi, Zion. We'll sign up for some of that. Williamson. Up top, Jackson Hayes. Zion's occupying quite a bit of the Clippers' attention. That allows an easy bucket for Hayes. Williamson here. Shot chart. Put the bucket in the paint. He had 13 points on 6 of 8 at the half. Pelicans lead by 10. Eric Bledsoe. Zion. Finish at the rim. Next possession for the Pelicans. Bledsoe kicks to Lonzo Ball. Corner 3. Bottoms. Ball had 20 on 5 of 8 from 3. Pelicans begin the third on a 9-0 run. More transition. Bledsoe, Williamson, go get it, number 1. And the lead balloons to 21. Pelicans up 21. Oh my goodness, heavens to Betsy. Reggie Jackson sometimes doesn't work well. Jackson. Hayes. On a night where Zion goes for 27, 26 in the paint. Here he is with Mark Jones afterwards.
The mood after the Minnesota game was, we know this is the NBA. You will have some games where you're really off, but, we had to lead that one in the past and, show the world that we can be a great team. And these past 2 games, we played very well. And, like you said, our plan is for us to keep doing this going forward.
5 assists tonight for you. And Coach Van Gundy is evolving your game to the point of being an initiator on offense. Characterize how comfortable you are in that role and your growth in that role for us.
I feel very comfortable in that role. Growing up, I was taught to play the point guard position. I was taught to facilitate the game. So, I told Coach that, and, Coach trusts me to do that with the Pelicans.
Last question, Zion. It's March Madness, brother. Who you taking in your bracket? I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet. I know we're going to mourn the loss of the Blue Devils to this year's tournament and move on. But who you like in this upcoming tournament?
Trick question. If Duke ain't in it, I'm not interested.
Okay. Hey, I love your loyalty. I love your loyalty, Zion. Thanks a lot for joining us, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Brotherhood, Steve.
Loyalty.
Yeah, that's what the Brotherhood's about. It's about loyalty. Steve's part of it. So for the 5th time this season, Zion's dropped 25 on at least 80% shooting from the floor. Over the past 30 seasons, that's tied with Dwight Howard for the 2nd most in a single season. The only player with more, Amare Stoudemire, who had 6 with the Suns in 2000. Oklahoma State was handed a 1-year postseason ban last June. Cade Cunningham, one of the top recruits in the country, said he was going there anywhere. Cowboys appealed, and because they haven't heard from the NCAA on a final ruling, 9 months later, they can participate in the tournament. If you love the sport, you're not complaining. This team is a blast to watch, and they've earned this spot. Maybe even they earned a better spot than they got. Just wild considering that a few months ago, nobody thought they could participate at all, and they're in on the 4 line. Compelling team to keep an eye on. They got a tough draw. 13 seed Liberty. BPI gives the Flames a 33% chance to win. Highest mark of any team seeded 12 or lower. Could be because Oklahoma State's BPI rank is more on par with that of a 9 seed. We covered this, whether it's sort of the predictive analytics or your results-based analytics. Joe Lunardi says they're closer, though, to a 2 seed. Another interesting matchup. 14 seed Colgate, higher net ranking their opponent. That's Arkansas. BPI says the Raiders have a 31% chance to win, second only to Liberty among 12 seeds or lower. Okay? Compelling slate of 5-12s, headlined by Georgetown, who romped through the Big East tournament to steal a bid. They'll square off against Colorado, who was bumped by another bid thief in Oregon State in the Conference of Champions final, the Pac-12. Georgetown and Colorado, one of the 8 matchups in the East region, highlighted by Michigan at number 1. A couple of play-in games in this quadrant as well. Michigan State and UCLA fight for the right to earn that 11. If Georgetown's run would continue, I should say, they would have to face either Florida State or UNC Greensboro in the round of 32. The 12th seed in the East is Georgetown. They take on Colorado. Their head coach, Patrick Ewing, joins us now on SportsCenter. Patrick, first things first, this is important. After you won in New York, you said you were out of pants, drawers, and pullovers. I trusted that you got some gear sent to Indianapolis so you could have a lengthy stay, right?
It's on the way. It's on the way. Our managers, they're going to go out and get some laundry done as well. But I don't know if I like them doing my personal laundry, so I called home and I'm having that stuff sent to me. Or I'm gonna have to wear that championship T-shirt right there as part of my wardrobe.
Hey, what a great shirt to wear, and what an amazing run! 4 wins in 4 days. The joy of you and your young man was so evident. And Patrick, you've been a part of so many remarkable things in your basketball journey. But in that locker room with these guys and what you've been through, how do you best describe what that represented for you?
It's hard to put in words. We've come so far in such a little bit of time. I'm very honored to coach these kids. To me, coaching is just like being a parent. You're trying to teach them and show them the best way to become human beings. And they've been doing an outstanding job of getting that done. And right now, we're playing our best ball of the year. And it showed all week long in New York.
The fact, Patrick, that it was the Garden, I mean, look, the Big East tournament in that building is so synonymous, but it is your house, as you said last week. The fact that it was there, again, this is their moment, but it's yours too. How does that magnify and elevate what that night's like for it to be there?
Oh, it's great. I spent 15 years of my life playing every night in that Garden. My number's in the rafters. I gave my blood, sweat, and tears to that organization. Right. So naturally, when we play there, it's very special to me.
You mentioned being a parent. Well, your basketball dad, Big John, it's impossible not to think of him. And as I see you smile, I think of his smile. I think of that booming voice, and I think of what he might have said in that moment. As you've thought about that, what do you imagine that night would have meant to him to see one of his basketball sons do this with his Hoyas?
Well, first of all, it was great to be for it to be on that night. 49 years ago, yesterday, that was the day that Georgetown University hired Coach Thompson. And it's just ironic that that's the night that we won it. And, one of the things that he and I always talked about was that how I was not given an opportunity to show my coaching skills in the NBA. And he talked me into coming back here to my alma mater. And one of the things he's always telling me, He said, I used to love to kick guards' butt because they think that everyone thinks that the guards are the better thinkers. So, we're chopping wood and trying to change that narrative.
Yeah, I've got I Came as a Shadow, the book that John did with Jesse Washington right here in my hands. I keep it right here on the desk. I think Jesse and I are going to do a podcast this week to talk about what you did and talk about his book and just talk about just the remarkable next chapter that you and your guys wrote, Patrick. You know what's interesting, and I mean, I don't know if this matters or not, but it's no secret where I'm from on the DMV side, right? People know I'm a Maryland guy. I can't tell you, Patrick, how many Maryland people I know that said, man, I'm thrilled for Georgetown. That's not an emotion I imagine people would have thought they would have felt. But on any side of the DMV rooting section, people were thrilled for you. And I don't know if that matters or means anything, but I feel like it's worth saying because the whole city was thrilled for you guys on Saturday night.
Oh, no, it definitely matters. It's always great when your town is behind you. And I know there's a lot of schools in the DMV, but Georgetown, I think, is special to the entire city and even the folks at Maryland. But it's great to have the DMV room for us.
No doubt, and certainly Big John had to be just so thrilled from above. What an amazing parallel between his hiring and your success last night. I hope the clothes arrive soon, but you got plenty of shirts that say champs on them to wear between now and then. Good luck, Patrick, with Colorado, and thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us tonight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Oh, yes.
The Big East tournament tells us what it meant to win it in MSG. Plus, Drew Brees makes it formal, announces the retirement, some thoughts on his legacy in New Orleans, and Justice Thomas wins Players' Championship. He stops by as well. Lots to get to. We begin with the best thing I saw today. Upset on Saturday by Cincinnati. Wichita State had to wait and wonder, will we hear our name? Will we see ourselves on a line? What's it mean to be dancing? Man, that's awesome. And for the teams that did not see themselves on a line. But for the Shockers, maybe a little bit of a shock. They couldn't know for sure they'd make it. But after a 16-5 season, they are part of the madness of March. Wichita State and Drake, last two teams in the field. They square off for the 11th seed in the West. Michigan State, UCLA, a lot of pedigree there. Traditionally, they square off in the East's play-in game. Also, very important, the first four teams out, who will serve as the replacement pool should any at-large teams be unable to make the trip to Indiana. They would replace them on their seed line. And keep in mind, Kansas, Virginia, and Duke all had to drop out of their conference tournaments last week due to COVID. Virginia won't even head to Indianapolis or practice until late in the week. And a year without an NCAA tournament in so many ways is just gross. Even if you aren't a day-in, day-out college basketball fan, the bracket is a massive part of the sports fan's year. Unlike other events that could be paused for a few months, seasons and careers just ended. So this Sunday was extra special as we awaited the path for unbeaten Gonzaga. A 2, a 3, and a 4 they've already beaten, all by double figures. To see how many Big Ten teams would be on the 1 or 2 line, the answer was 4. Or what seed Colgate was going to get. They're number 9 in the net ranking. You wondered, what might they be? Well, there are 14 opposite Arkansas, and that hardly feels like a reward. But the bracket and the tournament is, and it is so, so good to have it back. Now let's do some research on the 2021 bracket. I mentioned Big Ten teams, one of them from Ann Arbor, the Wolverines from Michigan, a 1 seed. Juwan Howard has Michigan a 1 for the first time since '93 when he was a player there, and they lost the title game to Carolina. Another very strong conference, the Big 12. Baylor is a 1 seed, and the conference has 3 teams on the 3 line, Kansas, Texas, and West Virginia. But beware, 2015, there were 3 Big 12 teams on the 3 line. They went just 1 and 2 in the first round. Rick Pitino joins Lon Kruger and Tubby Smith as the only coaches to take 5 different schools to the NCAA tournament. The Iona Gales are in, but in the previous 4 he took to the dance, Kentucky, Louisville, Providence, and BU all out of this year's tournament. Considering the sheer tonnage of words that Jay Billis is responsible for in and around the tournament, we're always appreciative of him sharing a few of them with us. And Jay, look, you know how much I love this sport and how much for all of us it was so disheartening not to have a bracket. And it's a thrill just to look at it. And I'm always interested at first blush, sort of a treetops level, how you would assess the seeding, because I thought that was always going to be the most interesting thing for the committee to sort out and how they would arrive at where they did. What did you make of the big picture here?
Overall, it was fine. Look, BYU's too high at a 6. I thought Oklahoma State was too low at a 4, and I thought Oklahoma State got a really rough path with their opening game, and then to have to play Tennessee next. You know, they could be out early because they're such a young team, but they also have a superstar in Cade Cunningham, which means they could go very deep in this thing. And then Maryland, your alma mater, at a 10 with 13 losses. That's the most losses in the field, and 7 of those 13 are by double digits. I think it was interesting what they did with Villanova. What do you do without Colin Gillespie? That was probably the hardest decision they had, is how do you honor the fact that Villanova had a great season, but they're not the same team without Colin Gillespie.
Not surprisingly, the Maryland alum would like to at least answer for those double-digit losses. A bunch of them came to teams that are on the 1 or the 2 line. It was going to be interesting to see how the Big Ten was represented on the 1 and the 2. Do you feel like it's an accurate representation of what that league has been?
I do. I think the Big Ten was the best league in the country by far. The Big 12 was second. But that's sort of the issue is at some point you have to be accountable for how you did against the schedule you played. Because as people say, you know, it's not you're comparing different leagues and different things. It's not just saying, well, how would this team do if they were in the Big Ten? But I think the Big Ten is the best league, and we'll see whether they're battle hardened or whether they're tired. There was no team in greater need of getting away from Big Ten competition than Wisconsin. Like Wisconsin played well and lost so many times in that league, and now they get North Carolina in an 8-9 game to start out, and then they get a 1 seed if they wind up winning it. But I tend to favor Wisconsin in that game because they're old. They're a lot older, and I think they can give the North Carolina guards a hard time.
I think throughout the year, Jay, we felt like Gonzaga and then Baylor hit that pause, and they haven't been quite the same since. Do you share the belief of many that there is a gulf between Gonzaga and everyone else, or no?
I wouldn't say gulf, but they're the best team. Usually what separates this team isn't that they can't be beat. It's just that they're high-level consistent more than anybody else. And Gonzaga has been unbelievably consistent. And in their bracket, the 2 seed, 3 seed, and 4 seed, they've already played them, and they beat the hell out of every one of them. And I think if they play them again, they're going to do the same thing. Like, Gonzaga is a beautiful offensive team. They have so many players that can make plays, and they make plays with and for each other. It's insane how talented that team is on the offensive end. Now, can they be beaten? Yes, they can be beaten. But somebody's going to have a great night against them, and they're going to have a poor night for them.
I agree. Look, the last time we saw them, BYU had 53 at the half, made 9 threes, and was up double figures. And then they lost by double figures because this game's 40 minutes. I'm with you. Anyone can lose. It's just going to take, I think, a perfect night for somebody to knock them off. Jay, as always, your time's appreciated. Look forward to visiting throughout the tournament.
Thanks for having me.
This is the 13th NCAA tournament during which ESPN's BPI has existed. In 10